On the first weekend in November, Detweiler Park in Peoria is the place for the 2000 IHSA Boys and Girls Cross Country Championships. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jim Blaney, along with maybe the best runner the state of Illinois has ever produced, Craig Virgin. Craig, this is an absolutely perfect setting because we've had a little goofy weather here the last couple of years. It's been very, very warm. It's more like cross-country weather today. Overcast, a little cool. It's actually perfect for the runners.
For cross-country, this is very traditional. We're going to start out with lows in the 40s. It'll be probably mid-50s by the time the AA boys run. Very comfortable weather, and also weather perfect for good times if we can get them.
All right, let's talk first of all about our first race, the Girls A Championship. And it was last year on this very course that a freshman from Shelbyville, Sarah Selby, jumped on the scene and really, Craig, surprised both you and I because she jumped out at the start of the race, never looked back, became a state champion, but this season has not been as kind as her freshman year.
Sarah was a little pixie-type figure out in front. I said, I wonder if she's going to hold up for 2.5 miles, and she just kept trucking like the road runner. This year, she's had some injuries at the end of the year. She did not win her sectional. She may be the favorite, but not by much. I think she's going to be challenged by a girl from deep southern Illinois, a Lindsay Zeiler from Massac County, which is down by Metropolis at the tip of the state, has been running very well, won her sectional, and I think will probably be the big favorite going in.
Well, another thing about Sarah Selby, too, is we were a little bit surprised when she came out and won this race last year, but she backed it up with a very good state track meet in the spring. So even though she was only a freshman last year, sophomore this year, very experienced runner, she is ready to go. 5 of the top 7 from last year are all back in this race, so it's going to be a little bit of a continuum from last year. As far as the team is concerned, Winnebago defending champ, they're back again, but Eureka, as always, one of the top teams in single A for girls. They're loaded, and they think they have another shot at a state title.
Their program is very sound. They've got a strong tradition, and in the single A race, they're trying to be the second team in history to win both the boys and the girls race, so they've got a lot of incentive to try to make history today.
The runners are gathering at the start-finish line, and when we come back, we'll have the start to the Girls A Cross Country Championship. Jim Blaney and Craig Virgin with you from Peoria.
And it's a clean start. They're off. No recall. We've got a big follow pack here. 427, Mindy Peterson. On your left.
Well, let's talk about Mindy Peterson for a second, Craig, because in the Open, we didn't talk about her a whole lot, and she was second in this race last year, first in 1998, third in the 1600 at the state track meet, and yet no one seemed to be talking about her too much coming into the race. And here's a veteran that's done very, very well in state competitions, and right now, running in the pack that is running second right now.
Well, we've got a follow pack of about 4 girls, shoulder to shoulder there. That appears to be very intent on keeping contact, which they have to do if they're going to have a chance to win here. This is anybody's race so far. It's definitely not over by any margin.
Lindsay Zeiler back there in the follow pack. I mean, all the people that you would expect to be there. Mindy Peterson, we talked about her a moment ago. She is there as well. Sarah Selby running off to the right. You know, similar running style to last year, Craig, but you know what? The thing that you see in really any athlete at this level, when you go from a freshman to a sophomore, the number one thing that happens is you grow and grow a lot. And Mindy Peterson's certainly a much taller runner than she was, not only in this race, but also in the state track and field championship last spring.
Well, again, as we mentioned last year, the girls have a disadvantage that when the hormones and the age kicks in through their 4 years of high school, whereas the boys get stronger and faster every year, it can actually work against the girls. They can be slower as a junior and senior than what they were as a freshman and sophomore. Not always, but it can happen, and it's something that a coach has to work with the athletes on.
Stephanie Sims continues to lead the race from Gardner, South Wilmington. Also, again, and this is a key factor, not here as a member of her team. As a matter of fact, she is the only runner from her school that is here, and she had a fantastic state meet last year. She did fantastic, finishing 5th as a freshman. So, again, it's very, very difficult to run this race if you're running by yourself and you don't have the support of a team, because essentially you've got to kind of try and figure out what kind of pace you run. And I think at this point in the race, Craig, I think Stephanie might be a little bit surprised that nobody has come out and really run with her. They're all content just to hang back.
No, but it's only a 5-yard gap right now, and I think things are going to change pretty quick. We've got Mindy Peterson that's starting to close the gap. She's only about 2 meters behind right now.
She looked over at some of her fans. She's giving thumbs up and she's waving. I think Mindy Peterson's feeling awfully good right now. And she begins a challenge for the lead. And Mindy Peterson...
She just gave her a high five.
Well, she gets the handoff, Craig, and it's interesting to see.
This is not a relay, is it?
Well, Stephanie Sims being an underclassman, maybe just going out and setting the pace for a senior. And that's what you like to see. And Mindy Peterson, you know, she's got everything under control right now. Thumbs up, waving to some of her fans, gets the handoff for the lead race, checking her watch. She seems to be totally in control, though it is still early in the race.
Well, don't look now, but Sarah Selby's lurking in the background. Once you're a state champion, it's hard to not want to defend your title if you're healthy and well at all, and she will be a factor in this race. She's not letting them get away easy. They're going to have to fight her for that title.
Let's take care of the legal portion of the broadcast right now. This copyrighted broadcast is presented for the entertainment and non-commercial use of our audience. Any reproduction or the use of this program without the express written consent of the Illinois High School Association is strictly prohibited. Mindy Peterson continues to lead. She ran in the lead pack all the way, has taken over the lead just within the last few moments. And Craig, I have to admit, I just find it kind of humorous the way she's handling this race so far, because she doesn't seem to have a care in the world. She looks great, very, very loose, is getting a lot of encouragement from a lot of her fans that are around the course, and has decided to take the lead at a very early point of the race, and has obviously decided, this is my race, I'm going to go out and set the pace, and I'm going to see what I can make happen.
She looks very relaxed. Sarah Selby, on the other hand, looks just a little bit more fatigued than what we remember from last year's race. Mindy certainly is the most relaxed out there and just seems to be out for a Saturday morning jog.
It's really quite amazing when you look back at what Mindy Peterson has done in her championship career here in the state of Illinois. And now we see a little bit of a move by Sarah Selby as she moves up onto the left shoulder of Mindy Peterson. And Peterson gets a little look over to see that she is over there and see exactly where she is running at.
This is the time of the course really to make a move, because you can utilize the downhill. And that's what they seem to be doing at this point in time. But Mindy Peterson is responding. Sarah pulled up to her shoulder. Mindy said, time to put the hammer down, and she's concentrating harder now.
Mindy Peterson running first, Sarah Selby from Shelbyville running second, and Stephanie Sims from Gardner, South Wilmington running in third right now and dropping off the pace a little bit and starting to drop back a little bit in the pack from UHI in Chicago, Becky Levine, the sophomore. So essentially it's developed to a three-person race. Craig, I'll tell you what, I'm a little bit surprised too. Stephanie Sims, it looked like she was going to drop back once she passed the baton to Mindy Peterson, but she stayed up very nicely at the front of the pack.
Right now, it's just too close to call. It still is a three-person race. Becky Levine is in there. Excuse me, Lindsay.
Becky Levine has dropped back to fourth.
That's right.
And the lead
Stephanie Sims is still in contention for this race. I thought it was a 4:18, it's a 4:10. Stephanie Sims is still there, although she needs to get a little bit tighter to make contact at the beginning of the home stretch. Mindy Peterson is actually starting to get a gap now of about 5 yards over Sarah Selby. This could be the beginning of a move, but again, there's still 6 or 7 hard yards to go. Basically, a lot of it uphill, and that will make a difference in the final drive.
Let's run down your leaders right now. Running first is Mindy Peterson from Taylor Rock Ridge. Running number 2 from Shelbyville is Sarah Selby. Running in third place right now, Gardner, South Wilmington's Stephanie Sims. You move back to fourth in the pack. That would be Becky Levine from University High in Chicago. Leslie McHugh of Reed Custer running in fifth right now. And from Massac County, Lindsay Zeiler, she is running in sixth. But the race is starting to get strung out a little bit. Mindy Peterson now starting to head uphill in the backstretch. And if she is feeling strong and feeling good, Craig, this is a place going uphill where actually you might be able to put some of the other people in the field away.
Well, it's still level here, but we're getting ready to climb. And Sarah Selby, if she wants to defend her title, she's got to do a gut check here and get back up on Mindy's shoulder. Sarah cannot let Mindy get more than a 5-yard lead. Right now, Sarah's leaning forward. She's hunched in the shoulders just a little bit. That shows me a little bit of fatigue. Mindy, on the other hand, is really loose in the neck and the shoulders. Look at her chin. Her pigtails are bobbing. She's just got a very relaxed smile on her face right now. She seems to be in control. with a smile like that, she's got to be in control.
Craig, that's a great observation, because it's been a long time since in a state championship race I've seen a smile that big on the face of a runner at this point of the race. And I'm telling you what, she obviously came into the race with a great plan, and her plan is to push it up this back straightaway. And I'll tell you what, another thing that helps too, it seems like about every 20 yards, she's got somebody offering her encouragement. And believe me, that does help. And right now, she's starting to run away with this race.
Well, Stephanie Sims could also knock off Sarah Selby for second place. Sarah's going to have to run extremely hard just to hold on to second.
Let's reset your leaders once again. In #1 top spot, looking good, Mindy Peterson from Rockridge. Sarah Selby, the defending champion, is running second, and running third is Stephanie Sims from Gardner South Wilmington. She set the pace early and really is just now trying to see how far she can get it up to second place, but it's Mindy Peterson of Rockridge running a fantastic race. She's been here many times, been a champion before. She will finish off her high school career in cross country as an Illinois state champion, 14:36, the unofficial time. Sarah Selby, first 1 year ago. She is going to finish second this year, and Stephanie Sims, who did such a wonderful job of setting the pace early on, she is going to bring it home in third place, the sophomore. Once again, you would have to think that maybe she's going to be a person who might be able to come back and pick up a state championship next year. Becky Levine is going to finish fourth. Leslie McHugh is going to finish fifth.
We're here with our new state champion, Mindy Peterson from Rockridge. Mindy, you went past the leader and gave her a low 5. Do you know all these girls?
Yeah, I'm pretty close with all of them. I think that cross country is one of those sports where you're just friends with everybody, whether they're your competitors or not, and that's just the way I feel. I'm just close to all the girls, and I really like this sport.
You won as a sophomore. Did you think you'd have it one more chance before you graduated?
I didn't know. It's hard to tell, but I knew I was going to have the best race of my life today, and if it came out I won, then that would be the better thing.
You were smiling the whole last mile. Did you really feel that confident in this race, despite two girls right on your shoulder?
I felt the two girls right on my shoulder, but I told myself I'm not going to let them get ahead of me. They're either going to get right next to me or stay behind me. And I just focused on it, and I had the confidence that I was controlling the race.
If Sarah had pulled to your shoulder, would you have had more left?
I don't know. I just was sprinting. I didn't even know where she was, actually. To tell you the truth, I kind of thought she was farther back since I heard you guys saying something like first and second, but I couldn't tell exactly how far, so I was just sprinting as hard as I could.
Well, congratulations on your second state championship.
Thank you.
Now it's time to turn our attention to the boys' single A race. Let's start out, Craig, by talking about the individuals. Paul Jalema made it close last year, almost got a state championship, and that's certainly his goal. Steve Wilson, his main competition.
I think Jalema was third, and I think he was a sophomore last year. Certainly, he's the top-rated guy coming in. He also did well in the 3,200 meter last year. I think that Steve Wilson from Elmwood will give him a run for his money. In the Class A race, Jim, it's really hard because there's really hard to do the research, and people are coming from all over the state. I still think it's a kind of a wide-open race. We could see 4 or 5 guys challenging for the title in this division.
Now, as far as the team race is concerned, you would have to believe that Eureka is an odds-on favorite based on a couple of things. Number one, they've had a great fall. But also, I think experience counts a lot on this course. They had 3 of the top 20 in this event last year that are back for the race this year, and I think that makes them odds-on favorites.
Well, Eureka's going for a 3-peat. I don't know if anybody's ever done 3 in a row. They will be challenged by Yorkville, Dunlop, and Macomb, and of course, any kind of a dark horse school that sneaks in there.
Realistically, it is Eureka's race to win. They come here every year with one goal in mind, that is winning a state championship, and they certainly have a great chance at this race, the Class A Boys Championship. The runners are gathering at the starting line. Let's get to the start of the race after this timeout.
This is the boys Class A championship, the year 2000, Eureka. They are right in the middle of the field, green and white jerseys. They are the heavy favorites in this race. Jelima, Ali, and Lucas running 1, 2, 3 right now at the front of the pack.
A good first 800, about 2:12 for the first half of a mile, and that's a good pace. Not electric, but certainly a good pace. It keeps it honest.
Running fourth right now is John Houseworth from Eureka. So he is the first of the Eureka runners, and again, remember Eureka, they've got a couple of things working for them right here. Chance at a state championship as a team, but they also have a chance at it for an individual championship as well. They have plenty of runners who were in the top 25 1 year ago that are back for another crack at it, but Paul Jelima right now running in the front of a pack of about 5 runners.
And Sean Lucas from St. Edward is up on his left shoulder. Again, a big, tall, strong runner just off his left shoulder of Jelima.
Off to the right in the black, that is Steve Lucas from Elmwood. Or excuse me, Steve Wilson from Elmwood.
Yes, and Ali is to the left. So we've got 4 abreast. This is almost like the Magnificent Seven, isn't it?
Well, we got a little bit of separation, too, coming at the front of the pack, and Daniel Martin of Eureka sees that happening. He is running in 6th place right now, and he is trying to close back the gap and get back up in the lead pack.
I think it's an appropriate time to mention that for all of these runners, the smart ones are the ones that run the tangents, Jim.
Right.
They're the ones that run the shortest possible route, that are looking ahead and plotting out the line of attack. They want to know where their next turn is, and they try to run the shortest line to get to that turn. If you're in the middle of a big pack, you can't do anything. But if you're in the lead pack or leading the race, you can certainly pick your line and be more efficient.
We just had a wonderful example of that as Earl Ali took a look to his left. He was somewhat boxed in, and he jumped out to what is essentially the inside part of the course, and now he is running right behind Paul Jelima. So Paul Jelima running, well, you know what? We can't call his first and second. Shoulder to shoulder for Jelima and Sean Lucas from St. Edward. And now it looks like Lucas has decided to take back the lead a little bit. So Lucas, Jelima, Ali, all running up in the front of the pack. And Steve Wilson from Elmwood trying to keep touch with the leaders right now. Daniel Martin, he also decided to make a move, try to get back up in the front. And realistically, we just got a dogfight up at the front of the pack. As we come out of the back loop, Paul Jelima has built up a rather huge lead, and Steve Wilson has moved into 2nd place. Earl Ali has dropped back to 3rd. Craig, so many times when we're here at Detweiler Park for the State Cross Country Championship, we see things change in that back loop, and they change quickly.
I call it the Bermuda Triangle because it's at a real strategic point in the race. It's after the mile and before the 2-mile mark. It's when a lot of moves are made. Paul Jelima opened up back there. We're going to have to take a look at our video replay to get exactly where that move was. But he's running very comfortably with his black socks on, and Steve Wilson has got to make a move to close that gap before they get to the 2-mile mark.
Paul Jelima looking very, very comfortable as he makes his way toward the 2-mile mark, and it does look like at the time right now it's Steve Wilson closing maybe just a little bit. He's trying to climb up. Let's reset your field for you. Paul Jelima, Ileana Christian, he is running first. Steve Wilson of Elmwood, he is running second. Moving into 3rd right now, Sean Lucas from Elgin St. Edward, and running in 4th, Earl Ali from Burlington Central.
Right now, Jelima seems to be in control of the race. He's running comfortable. Wilson's about 10 to 15 yards behind. We're going to be coming up to the 2-mile mark here real quickly, I believe.
As far as the team race is concerned, Eureka has runners running right now in 5th and in 8th, and that's about as far back as we can see into the field right now. So Eureka, at least right now, has 2 runners in the top 10.
Well, Eureka was the prohibitive favorite coming in. I mean, if it hadn't been for York's outstanding performance in the boys' race last year, Eureka wowed everybody. About 9:30 for 2 miles.
Steve Wilson trying to push the pace up the hill. He is closing the gap ever so slightly on Paul Jelima, and Paul looked very, very comfortable as Craig's going to get the split for us here. Paul is very, very comfortable.
9:46 approximately.
Coming up the hill, but now showing the strain of running uphill a little bit. But right now, Jelima and Wilson have pretty well separated themselves from the pack. And then once you get to 3rd place, it all closes up where there's a big pack now battling for the number 3 spot.
Jelima has pushed the race at the top of this hill slightly. He's also running the tangent right now, and he's still back out to about 10 to 15 yard lead over Steve Wilson.
It looked like Steve Wilson was starting to fall back and maybe was out of it. He pushed it a little bit over the course of the last quarter mile, made up a little bit of the gap. Question is now, is Wilson going to have enough to really put on a huge kick going uphill? And the gap right now, as far as distance is concerned, is probably right, about 20, 25 yards.
Jelima's looking too comfortable to me. I think he would have to tie up incredibly to be caught at this point. And I'm looking at his neck and his chin, all those telltale signs to see whether someone is really straining, and he's not. He's just running too relaxed.
Wilson seemed to be able to get it down to about a 15-yard margin a couple of times, and then just couldn't get any closer than that. So right now at this point, as Paul Jelima is getting ready to make that last turn and head up the hill, he certainly looks to be in control of this Class A boys championship race in the year 2000.
Interestingly enough, Wilson and Jelima did not face each other at all this year, so they really didn't know how the other person ran until they got here to the state meet.
Paul Jelima, third 1 year ago. He was the top underclassman in the race last year. The seniors have moved on. That would have led you to believe at the start of this race that Paul Jelima would be the odds-on favorite. He took the lead early in the race, jumped out to a big lead in the back loop, and is certainly on his way to a state championship if he can just bring it home for this last few meters.
I'm going to be betting that he's going to be wearing those lucky socks for a few more races, don't you?
You know what? And if he's wise, he won't even wash them, Craig.
I don't know.
Just keep wearing it. You wear those things until somebody beats you.
Pete Maravich, right?
Paul Jelima from Ileana Christian, third 1 year ago. He's going to bring it home as state champion. The year 2000, he wins.
Right about 14:30, 14:32.
The boys Class A race, unofficially 14:39. Steve Wilson, as Elmwood, is going to finish second.
Time to move on to Double A. Let's talk about the girls' Double A race. And Craig, Delilah DiCrescenzo from Queen of Peace, doing one of the most difficult things you can do as a cross-country runner. That is basically be out here all by yourself. She was 10th 2 years ago, second last year. Really, from the time she hit the tape second last year, she's been the favorite for this race today.
Well, she won her sectional. Probably the Schaumburg sectional was the toughest girls sectional in the whole state. She'll be challenged by Samantha Pollock from Wheaton North and Maria Cicero from York. This could be the closest race of all four divisions.
Let's talk about Maria Cicero a little bit, because didn't have a high finish last year at the cross-country meet, but came back in the spring, did very, very well at the state track meet, and I think has a little bit of that York aura about her as she goes into this race.
She may get the most improved award for any one runner this year, to come from like 160th last year to a contender for the state title just 12 months later. The tradition of York, the long green line for boys and girls, will be a big factor for her.
Let's talk about the team race a little bit. Now, York, they've had great success here at the state track meet, or state cross-country meet. Second last year. They've got all top fives in the 1990s, the end of the 1990s, except for 1 year.
Yep.
But they've never finished first. Is today the day?
On paper, York is a prohibitive favorite, but Schaumburg is back to defend their title. They will have something to say about that, as well as Naperville North. And again, there's a fourth or fifth team that's out there. We'll just have to call it as we see it.
It will be the day that maybe York gets it done in the Double A girls state championship cross-country meet. We'll find out what exactly happens after this time out.
Start of the Double A Girls Championship. Craig, we haven't said it in a little while, but I'll tell you what, this is an absolutely perfect day this has turned into.
And it's getting warmer, still in the 50s, but just about right. Jim, this is going to be the closest race in Double A recent history. I think there's 4 to 5 girls that have a shot at winning this race. Delilah DiCrescenzo, Queen of Peace, Maria Cicero from York, Samantha Pollock from Wheaton North, all came out of the same sectional. You've also got Lori King from St. Viator and Erica Odlog from Deerfield. All 5 of these girls have a good shot at this race today.
Well, just giving it a quick look, Kaylee Lafferty, a sophomore from Lincoln Way, out in very, very good shape. She is out to the right of the lead pack. And Shantya Chester from East St. Louis Senior, maybe not a name a lot of you recognize unless you were here last year, because she ran very, very well in the state championship race last year. So she is back. She finished 21st last year, and she is leading the race as the field starts to make their way into more or less of a single file line. And Chester really has taken it out quickly, and she has taken a lead of a good 10 yards over the rest of the pack.
Well, she's from down on my side of the state, East St. Louis. I live about 18 miles away in Lebanon, and I watched her both in track and cross country. Nino Fenoy has her ready every year, but she's more of a natural 800-meter runner, so that's why she gets out very quickly in these kind of races.
Well, of course, East St. Louis known for years for their great track programs, but mostly a lot of sprinters.
Well, I've run with her in the local park that they use for their cross-country races. I did a 4-mile run with her one day, and she's a very, very fine young woman. She's in shape. She's just got to be dedicated.
And Delilah DiCrescenzo has moved up into 3rd place right now. Running 2nd is Lauren King, a junior from St. Viator, and Maria Cicero. So all the people we expected to be up near the top of the pack are right up there. And a little crossover by Lauren King tried to cut off Maria Cicero, but she stepped around it rather easily. And now Maria Cicero has moved out to the front of the pack.
Number 74 on your screen, the St. Viator girl is Lori King to the left. And you have Delilah DiCrescenzo in the middle, also in green. And to the far right, there's Samantha Pollock from Wheaton North, who is a sophomore. The rest of these girls, I believe, are seniors.
So let's set your top part of the field right now. Maria Cicero of York is running 1st, and then it's 3 abreast for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, including Delilah DiCrescenzo, Samantha Pollock, and boy, the traffic is really tough at the front of there. As you saw, Pollock nearly get taken out as Maria Cicero decided she wanted to run to the outside, and then Lauren King drops into the inside.
Well, we've got a 4-woman race right now. Really, it's anyone's race. Everybody looks good this early. We're not even to the mile mark yet, but at least 4 out of our 5 favorites have separated themselves, and it's going to be a gunfight.
Diana Ainsley, a senior from Palatine, she's running 5th right now. She is trying to jump up and join the lead pack. And remember, we have to talk about the team race just a little bit here, too. York's Lauren Dick, a sophomore, number 75, she is also trying to press the pace a little bit, maybe see if she can get up in that lead pack as well.
The York girls team has the same kind of momentum, possibly the best team in their storied tradition, just like York boys had last year.
A reminder, for the most up-to-date Illinois high school sports information, click on the IHSA's website for scores, standings, and much, much more. The IHSA website is your #1 source. That's IHSA.org. Maria Cicero not only leading, but starting to build on her lead as she heads up really what I think is the most difficult part of this course, heading uphill when you've got to go around one more time because this hill can be a little bit daunting. She has opened up a good 20-yard lead on Lauren King of St. Viator. Delilah DiCrescenzo running in 3rd right now, but looking pretty comfortable back here. It seems like a big margin, but believe me, DiCrescenzo is still in this thing.
Delilah has got to make a move soon. She's starting to accelerate to catch Lori King in 2nd. Samantha Pollock seems to be going with her, although back about 5 yards. But quite frankly, I'm a little surprised that Cicero has this kind of a lead. I really did expect it to be shoulder to shoulder.
Craig, I did too, and it really seems like that right now, at least, Cicero has kind of gotten away from the other 3 runners in the lead pack, and DiCrescenzo really looks like she's decided to press the pace up the hill and see if she can close the gap. King is just trying to hang on and get to the top of the course and maybe see if she can pick up some ground when they go downhill again on the other side.
And that was the girls' 2-mile mark that we just went through. Again, a very impressive time, Jim.
Top 4 once again, Maria Cicero of York. 2nd is Lauren King of St. Viator. Delilah DiCrescenzo is running 3rd. One of the things we do to get a guide as to what runners we may want to watch in this event is you go back to last year's top 20, into the top 25 as well. And Maria Cicero was not in there, but based on what she did at last year's state track meet, you knew that she was going to be one of the people to watch for, and then she backed it up with a wonderful fall to get to this point.
Well, she's probably the most improved of the top 4 in the race. She's come the farthest from somewhere over 100th place in last year's race. She did was much more competitive in the state track meet last spring, which really is the best indicator. And it's been 4 months, and right now she's about to win her first state title.
Well, and you see in Class A where many times you'll see freshmen and sophomores come in and win the race. Realistically, in AA, even for the girls, it tends to be a senior-dominated event. As a matter of fact, if you go back to last year, 6 of the top 10 were seniors. And then 3 more of those top 10 were juniors. So this many times does boil down to a race for upperclassmen, and Maria Cicero is certainly carrying that torch as she begins to make the final turn and head uphill toward a state championship.
And Lori King is still in second place, and quite frankly, that's a bit of an upset. To have Lori King right now to be ahead of both Delilah DiCrescenzo and Samantha Pollock is a bit of an upset.
Well, Delilah DiCrescenzo is safely in third place, and Samantha Pollock has now dropped back to where she running fourth, and the 5th and 6th place runners are right with her. We'll get back to that in a second, but right now, let's watch Maria Cicero's run up the hill as she claims the 2000 IHSA Girls AA State Championship.
She's about 200 yards from the finish right now, looking very strong, good arm drive. She has her chin down. She's not tense in the neck or the shoulders. She's going to win this race very comfortably.
This is where it gets fun too, Craig, from the standpoint, and you know this, is if you're the lead runner at this point, you just hear a wall of sound as you come in. You don't hear a whole lot, but you know that all the cheers are for you.
A big upset and victory for Maria Cicero. Came from 3rd in sectional to win the state this year. Wonderful time, coming up to 13:46, 37, 13:48 for the 2.5-mile course.
And how about Lauren King, the junior from St. Viator, qualifies on her own to get to the state championship. Ran with Maria Cicero for about half the race. She is coming up the hill. She is going to finish second. Delilah DiCrescenzo, second last year. She is going to finish 3rd in this year's race. She was 10th as a sophomore, so a pretty good high school career for Delilah DiCrescenzo.
We're here with a very surprised Maria Cicero, who won the Class AA Girls State Championship today. Did I make you nervous before the race?
Yeah. Yes, you made me extremely nervous. You came over and I was like, oh my gosh, why is Craig Urgent coming over here? And then you said that and I was like, is he just trying to make me feel the pressure?
Well, you rallied to the cause. Did you think that they would let you get away by the mile mark in the race? Everybody was saying before this race, Maria, that there was going to be 3 to 4 girls abreast at the bottom of the hill and a real dogfight to the tape. And you just put that asunder today. What happened?
But I knew my running style can't leave it up to a last 200. I mean, I have confidence in myself, but at the same time, I know my strengths and I know when to play on them, and I know I had to take the mile up fast.
Did you ever look over your shoulder at Delilah DiCrescenzo and expect her to come rolling up, or were you surprised that Lori King was in second place?
I actually took a glance back right here, it would be going into the 2 mile. So it'd be like the 1.5 miles. And I glanced over and I was like, and I saw Delilah, and I was like, there must be a lot of people between us, because I had like 100 meters, and I was like, something's not right here. And I was like, pretend like she's 3 steps behind you, search, you know, and I'm like trying to think of everything that people told me before the race, and it was so helpful, and I'm just so happy.
Did you feel good at the bottom of the hill? Did you know you had it won by then?
No, I thought when you hear people cheering and they're going, I thought that was saying like, kick, they're coming on you, you know, like they're gonna catch you. And I didn't have any idea that I had, like my coach was yelling to me 70 meters, and I'm like, he's lying, he's trying to make me think that I...
Well, you did very well, and I hope you
you.
guys win the team title. You're a big factor, right?
Yes, that would just make the day a dream come true.
Good for you.
Thank you, though.
Time now for the boys AA cross country championship. And 1 year ago at this time, Craig Virgin was thinking his state record might fall. Don Sage gave it a good run, didn't quite get there. But the reason why we bring this up as we look at the team race in AA boys, Craig, is York 24 points last year. For those of you who are uninitiated, 15 is a perfect score. 24 is about as close as you're going to get. York, the defending champions, but certainly not as strong of a team as last year, but they're still pretty good.
Last year was probably their best team ever in their storied tradition. However, they're still a favorite. They're still York. And when it comes to the state cross-country meet, people know that Joe Newton will have his team ready. But they're going to be challenged by Downers Grove North and Crystal Lake. Individually, we don't have a clear favorite this year. Dan Glass, I think the top 6 graduated from the finishing race last year. Dan Glass from Stagg will certainly be one of our favorites, as well as Dan Hout from Lockport, and Adam Roach from York, trying to follow in Sage's footsteps.
And realistically, Craig, for York, the key for them is really to run this race as a team. And again, we've talked about this many times with the Dukes. They're not so concerned about the individual honors, it's just making sure they run a good team race, and that's really the key for them.
But I think that Coach Newton will send Roche out to try to win the individual title because their team has a better chance if he'll finish first or second. I think it's still a tough race, and York has that tradition. They have the band. They have 4 or 5 busloads of people. They're still the team to beat.
And they've also got Peter Stasulis, who had a great track championship last spring, ran very well here at the state cross-country championship. So York, obviously the team to beat in AA, but you know what? You never know what's going to happen in the race, and we'll have the start of the AA boys race after this quick timeout.
Final race of the day, the boys AA championship. And Craig, realistically, it shapes up as being pretty wide open. We're going to see how this thing sorts out.
Well, we thought there was going to be a real dogfight amongst 4 or 5 girls in the AA race. We've got the same situation here with Glass from Stagg, Hout from Lockport, Roche from York, Frank Velasquez from Wheeling, Satori also from Lockport. You've got several good athletes, none of which are a really predetermined favorite.
And another thing to watch for, too, is because you have so many good teams in this race, and these teams are so deep, they can afford to send some guys out to try and set the pace early. And realistically, we're just going to wait and see what happens. Among the things to watch, York with Adam Roach and Peter Stasulis, they have 2 runners who could very well finish in the top 10, as do the Porters from Lockport with Daniel Hout and Zach Sartori. So it's just going to be an interesting race to see exactly how all this sorts out by the time we get done. From Farragut, Alexandro Dominguez, a senior, he has run out to the lead, and he is joined at the front of the pack by Chaz Bellew from Crystal Lake Central, another team we could very well see make a run at this thing.
Right. There's one other individual runner that I'm aware of that has an outside chance here, and that's David Mitchell from Downers Grove South, excuse me. In terms of team competitions, York has the York factor at work. It's the tradition, it's the support, it's the crowd, the band, expectations. Downers Grove North is in there, Crystal Lake, Lockport. As you said, Lockport has a chance to put 2 guys in the top 10. So really, there's a 3 or 4 team battle for first place. It's not anything like last year when York had such an outstanding team that was dominant right from the beginning.
Zach Sartori is leading.
Lockport, 2 out of the top 4 places.
And Dan Glass from Stagg running 3rd, right between 2 other Sitka school members from Lockport.
Hout and Glass both won their sectionals.
Brian Ray from Naperville North has battled his way through the pack. He's running 5th right now. So all the guys we expected to be there near the front have made their way to the front as they head onto the back loop. Back out onto the main course now. In the lead, Daniel Hout from Lockport. Running behind him, and again, I want to point this out, running by himself is Tony Ricaric, the senior from Palatine, Dan Glass from Stagg, and then Sartori from Lockport is running 4th.
They were 4:41, Jim, at the mile. A good time, but not great. Last year, they were 4:38, I believe.
Now, I want to point something out too, Craig, and this is very important, that the runner from Palatine, the runner from Stagg, really, as far as the Porters are concerned, at least for the team running, they're not there. In the team race right now, Lockport is running number 1 and number 2, even though individually They're running 1A and number 4.
Well, right now we're seeing two guys, Glass and Ricaric, are trying to break away. They've got about a 3-yard lead. I may have called that wrong. That's Hout from Lockport.
Hout and Ricaric are running, again, 1A and 1B.
That's right.
Sartori is running 3A and 3B with Glass. And I'm a little bit surprised that we've seen Brian Ray from Naperville North not be able to stay with this lead group. He's back in the next pack, which includes maybe the next 6 runners.
He lost it back in that triangle. That's where he lost contact, and that's why they call it the Bermuda Triangle. You go in and you don't come out.
You don't come out, never be heard from again.
Dan Glass from Stagg about 10 yards back. He's got to work hard to regain contact, or he's going to be battling for 3rd and 4th the rest of the day.
I really like the way Ricaric is running, Craig, right now. Nice and clean, very efficient. Everything within the plane of his body. He looks good.
He looks very passive in his face. Hout seems to be strained a little bit more in the neck and the shoulders. I'm looking for relaxation, but he still has a good stride.
Hout has made his move. He's leading by about a stride and a half. Sartori, can he run down his teammate? Lockport's going to go 1-2.
I'm going to say he is. How about Gamble from 400 yards out? Sartori's got a wonderful kick going right now.
And Glass is trying to make his move on Ricaric for 3rd place.
Hout still in front by 10 yards. He seems to be looking better at this point than he was about 20 yards ago. He's getting better knee lift.
Sartori was 15th in this race 1 year ago. Hout was 10th.
Sartori has lost some of his forward momentum. Hout is going to win this race. And the Lockport Porters are going to take 1-2. When was the last time that happened?
Senior Dan Hout is going to win this race. He is the AA champion of the year 2000. Zach Sartori, his teammate, will finish 2nd.
4:11 for a finishing time, approximately. A very good time for a race like this.
3rd place will go to Dan Glass from Stagg. Tony Ricaric from Palatine set the pace most of the race. He is going to come in 4th.
We're here with our Class AA state champion, Dan Hout. Dan, tell me about this race. At 4:41 at the mile, was still like 8 or 9 guys abreast. Did you still feel like you could win it at that point in time?
Yeah, I just plan to start pushing it there and then work really hard in the back part.
Now, tell me about that triangle back there, because that seemed to be where you pressed and got ahead and started to make your presence felt. Was that a conscious effort before the race, or did you react to something?
Yeah, I really wanted to go as soon as I get in there and then really push it on the last leg coming out.
And what were you at 2 miles?
9:35.
Who did you think was your toughest competition at that point in time?
Tony Ricaric, he was right with me.
Well, he looked good at that point in time. Did you ever have any doubts that you could outleg him at the end?
No, I just wanted to go once we got back up behind the start line and push it from there.
Could you sense at all that your teammate, Sartori, had moved into 2nd place?
No, I finished and turned around and I saw him coming in and knew he did well.
Were you in the top 10 here last year?
Yeah, I was 10th.
Okay, so you made a big improvement from 10th to 1st. Thank goodness some guys graduate, huh?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on being a fine state champion, and good luck with the team title chase as well.
Thank you.
I'm standing with Paul Jellema, Ileana Christian, and our champion this year in the boys single A race. Paul, you were the top underclassman coming into the race. You won your sectional big. Did you think you'd win that easily today?
I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I mean, the state meet, the best runners in the state are here, so it's not going to be easy. But I felt pretty confident, but not too cocky, because I knew there was a lot of people here that are really good.
Well, there were 8 guys in the first mile. Were you ever worried at all about your form or fitness or any of the competition? Were you keen off Steve Wilson or someone else?
I was just going for my time. I mean, not really worried about the people around me. I was really concerned about my time. I knew that my place would go with whatever time I was trying to get. So.
Well, if you're worried about time, what was your goal pace for the first mile, and how far off were you?
I was a little slow. I was going for a 4:40, and I had a 4:45. So, I mean, it wasn't right where I wanted it to be, but I thought I could make it up.
By 2 miles, you were in the lead. Were you at your mile split that you wanted there too?
No. I could tell I was starting to slow down a lot during the race, and I couldn't do too much about it. I mean, I was really tired, but yeah.
Will you be looking for the 1600 or 3200 next spring?
Probably the 3200 more focused on, and possibly, depends on what my coach wants me to do.
Have you ever had a state champion at Ileana before?
We had in, I don't remember what year it was, in the 800 in track, we had Ron Kingma won the 800 in state. We haven't had anybody in cross country though. So.
Well, congratulations on your first state champion, Paul Gillema, Ileana Christian.
One of the things that's wonderful about coming to Detweiler Park every year is you get to see new champions, you get to see new runners experience becoming a state champion. And for all the wonderful things the York Dukes have done over the years here at the state cross country meet, another first, something they've never done. They win both the boys and girls championships in AA.
Not since Chrisman High School in the Class A back in 1988 has that feat been accomplished. And leave it to York. They made history again this year. Last year was their 20th title for Coach Newton. They won it for him again this year, number 21. But the girls probably were the biggest favorite coming in the girls' race, and they were able to win their race as well.
And let's not forget about Winnebago, because they win the girls' A championship, and their guys finished second, so they came pretty close to getting it done as well.
They'll have to look at the year 2001. This has been a beautiful weekend, Jim. The runners and spectators couldn't have asked for better weather. We're in the 50s now. The colors are great. Detweiler Park's a very exciting weekend in the first weekend of November for the state championship. These kids have been working since June for this, and they really put on a good show today.
But as I look back on everything we saw today, Craig, I think the impressions that I'll take out of it are our two girls individual champions, Maria Cicero in AA, Mindy Peterson in A, right. And the fact that not only did they win, but it's been a long time since at any level of sport I've seen people enjoy the act of winning as much as those two did.
Well, I think Mindy Peterson gave a high five to everybody coming up the final straightaway. And if you saw our post-race interview, I mean, Maria Cicero couldn't be any happier. She's had a dream come true. She's worked very hard for this. 60th last year, first this year. I mean, you can't improve much farther than that.
We had a lot of senior champions this year, so when we come back to Detweiler Park next November, we'll be crowning a whole new set of champs. But for the next year, everybody who was a winner here today can walk away knowing that they accomplished the ultimate for many of us in our sports careers, that is getting a high school championship. For Craig Virgin, I'm Jim Blaney. We thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again next year at Detweiler Park for the IHSA Cross Country Championships.